Prince Arthur, Duke of Connaught and Strathearn, third son of Queen Victoria, established his household at Bagshot Park in Surrey during the 1880s. Born in 1850, Arthur had pursued a distinguished military career that took him from the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst to campaigns in Egypt and India. Unlike his elder brothers, the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Edinburgh, Arthur embodied the Victorian ideal of the soldier prince, disciplined, dutiful, and devoted to imperial service. In 1879, Arthur married Princess Louise Margaret of Prussia, daughter of Prince Frederick Charles of Prussia and Princess Maria Anna of Anhalt-Dessau. This union connected the British royal family to the Hohenzollern dynasty and reinforced the complex web of German royal relationships that characterized European monarchy in the late 19th century. Louise Margaret, known within the family simply as Louise, brought Prussian court traditions and German efficiency to the Connaught household. The Duke and Duchess of Connaught represented everything Queen Victoria valued in her children's marriages and careers. Arthur's military service took him to postings across the British Empire, while Louise Margaret maintained the domestic sphere with Germanic thoroughness. Their household at Bagshot Park operated with military precision, reflecting Arthur's professional background and Louise's Prussian upbringing. The expectations placed upon their children would be shaped by this unique combination of British royal duty and German royal discipline. The position of the Connaught family within the British monarchy was both privileged and precarious. As the third son of the sovereign, Prince Arthur held significant rank and received substantial financial support from Parliament, yet his children would never inherit the throne. This positioning created specific opportunities and limitations for the next generation. The Connaughts occupied a unique space in the royal hierarchy, sufficiently senior to represent the crown on major occasions, but distant enough from succession to allow their children greater freedom in marriage choices and career paths. This distance from the direct line meant that Princess Margaret, Prince Arthur, and Princess Patricia could marry into foreign royal families without constitutional complications, or pursue personal interests that might be impossible for closer heirs. Queen Victoria maintained close relationships with all her grandchildren, but the Connaught children benefited from their grandfather's military reputation and their mother's connections to German royalty. These advantages would prove crucial in arranging marriages and establishing careers for all three children. The household at Bagshot Park thus served as a launching point for three distinctly different royal lives, each shaped by the opportunities and expectations of their intermediate position within the monarchy. Princess Margaret, Victoria Augusta Charlotte Nora, was born at Bagshot Park on January 15, 1882. As the first child of the Duke and Duchess of Connaught, she entered the world carrying the full weight of dynastic expectations. Her multiple names reflected the royal tradition of honoring senior family members: Victoria for her grandmother the Queen, Augusta for her great-grandmother the Duchess of Cambridge, and Charlotte for various Prussian relatives. The princess was baptized at Bagshot Park on February 18, 1882, with Queen Victoria herself serving as principal godparent. The ceremony followed established royal protocol, with representatives from both British and German royal families in attendance. Princess Margaret's birth was announced in the court circular and marked with appropriate celebrations throughout the empire, though without the constitutional significance that would accompany the birth of a direct heir. From birth, Princess Margaret held the style of Her Royal Highness and the title Princess Margaret of Connaught. This designation placed her within the senior ranks of the British royal family while distinguishing her from princesses in the direct line of succession. Her position as eldest child of the Duke of Connaught made her a valuable asset in the complex diplomatic marriages that characterized European royalty in the late 19th century. Princess Margaret's early years unfolded within the structured environment of Bagshot Park, where Prussian discipline merged with British royal tradition. The Duchess of Connaught, drawing upon her own upbringing at the Prussian court, established rigorous educational routines for her daughter. German and French languages were taught alongside English, reflecting the international nature of royal marriages and the expectation that Princess Margaret would eventually marry into a continental royal family. The princess received instruction in history, literature, music, and drawing, following educational patterns established for royal daughters throughout Europe. Unlike her male contemporaries who would attend public schools, Princess Margaret's education remained private, conducted by governesses and tutors selected for their expertise in preparing young women for royal marriages. The curriculum emphasized accomplishments expected in European courts, fluency in multiple languages, musical performance, and familiarity with the genealogical connections between ruling houses. Court life provided additional education through regular contact with visiting royalty and diplomatic representatives. Princess Margaret learned the protocols of royal behavior through direct observation and participation in formal occasions. These early experiences at Bagshot Park established the foundation for her future role as Crown Princess of Sweden, teaching her the adaptability required when entering foreign royal courts, while maintaining connections to her British heritage. As Princess Margaret entered her teenage years during the 1890s, her position as a marriageable royal daughter became increasingly significant in European diplomatic circles. The princess made her formal debut during the reign of her great-grandmother, Queen Victoria, participating in court presentations and state occasions that introduced her to the broader royal community. These appearances served both social and political purposes, demonstrating British royal prestige while allowing foreign representatives to assess her suitability for dynastic marriages. The princess's public profile remained carefully managed, with appearances designed to showcase her accomplishments while maintaining appropriate royal dignity. She accompanied her parents to military reviews, attended charitable events, and participated in the seasonal round of royal engagements that characterized upper-level royal life. These activities provided training in the public duties she would eventually assume as a foreign crown princess. Marriage negotiations for Princess Margaret began informally during her late teens, as European royal houses sought alliances that would strengthen their diplomatic positions. The Connaught family's connections to both British and German royalty made Princess Margaret an attractive candidate for multiple continental dynasties. Her education, deportment, and family connections positioned her perfectly for the type of strategic marriage that would advance British interests while providing her with an appropriate royal establishment. The courtship between Princess Margaret and Crown Prince Gustav of Sweden developed through the diplomatic channels that governed royal marriages in the early 20th century. Crown Prince Gustav, born in 1882 and heir to King Oscar II of Sweden, represented an ideal match for a British princess, Protestant, from an established monarchy, and connected to the broader network of European royalty through his mother, Princess Sophia of Nassau. Initial contacts between the British and Swedish royal families occurred through formal diplomatic visits and shared participation in international royal events. Queen Victoria's approval was essential for any marriage involving her granddaughter, and the Swedish match offered several advantages: Sweden's neutrality in European conflicts, the Protestant faith of the Bernadotte dynasty, and the opportunity to strengthen Anglo-Scandinavian relations without creating complicated alliance obligations. The Crown Prince's personal qualities complemented his political suitability. Educated at Uppsala University and trained in military service, Gustav embodied the modern constitutional monarch while maintaining traditional royal dignity. His interest in Princess Margaret developed over several meetings at various European courts, allowing both families to assess the compatibility of the match. By 1904, informal negotiations had progressed sufficiently to consider formal engagement arrangements. The engagement between Princess Margaret and Crown Prince Gustav was officially announced on March 11, 1905, following extensive negotiations between the British and Swedish governments. The announcement emphasized the personal affection between the couple while acknowledging the diplomatic advantages of the union. Wedding preparations proceeded according to established royal protocol, with ceremonies planned in both Britain and Sweden to satisfy the constitutional requirements of both kingdoms. Princess Margaret married Crown Prince Gustav at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, on June 15, 1905. King Edward VII, who had succeeded Queen Victoria in 1901, gave away his niece in a ceremony attended by representatives from across European royalty. The bride wore a gown of white satin with a train of considerable length, topped by the Connaught diamond tiara, a wedding gift from her parents. The service followed Anglican liturgy, with modifications to acknowledge the Swedish royal family's Lutheran faith. Following the Windsor ceremony, the couple traveled to Sweden for a second wedding service at the Royal Palace in Stockholm on June 20th, 1905. This ceremony, conducted according to Swedish court tradition, formally introduced Princess Margaret to her new kingdom as Crown Princess Margareta. The transition from British princess to Swedish crown princess required significant personal adaptation, as she assumed new protocols, learned Swedish customs, and prepared for her future role as Queen of Sweden. Crown Princess Margareta's adaptation to Swedish court life demonstrated her thorough royal training and personal flexibility. The Swedish court, while less elaborate than its British counterpart, maintained distinct traditions that required careful study and respectful adoption. The Crown Princess learned Swedish with characteristic royal determination, achieving fluency that allowed her to participate fully in public ceremonies and private court life. Her official duties as Crown Princess included representation of the Swedish royal family at charitable events, cultural celebrations, and diplomatic receptions. Crown Princess Margareta patronized organizations focused on child welfare and women's education, reflecting both her personal interests and the evolving expectations for royal women in the early 20th century. These activities established her reputation within Sweden as a conscientious and dedicated member of the royal family. The relationship between Crown Princess Margareta and her mother-in-law, Queen Sophia, provided stability during her early years in Sweden. Queen Sophia, herself a foreign princess who had adapted successfully to Swedish court life, offered guidance in navigating the complexities of royal duty while maintaining personal identity. This support proved invaluable as Crown Princess Margareta established her position within the Bernadotte dynasty and prepared for eventual queenship. Crown Princess Margareta's role as mother to the future Swedish royal line began with the birth of Prince Gustav Adolf on April 22, 1906. The prince, born at the Royal Palace in Stockholm, secured the succession of the Bernadotte dynasty and fulfilled the Crown Princess's primary dynastic obligation. His birth was celebrated throughout Sweden with appropriate ceremonies and public celebrations, establishing Crown Princess Margareta's position as the mother of future kings. The Crown Princess gave birth to 4 additional children over the following decade: Prince Sigvard in 1907, Princess Ingrid in 1910, Prince Bertil in 1912, and Prince Carl Johan in 1916. Each birth strengthened her position within the Swedish royal family while creating an extensive network of potential European royal marriages for the next generation. The children received education appropriate to their royal status, with particular attention paid to languages and cultural studies that would prepare them for international responsibilities. Crown Princess Margareta's children would eventually marry into multiple European royal houses, extending Swedish influence and maintaining the complex web of relationships that characterized 20th century monarchy. Princess Ingrid's marriage to Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark made her Queen of Denmark, while Prince Gustav Adolf's marriage to Princess Sibylla of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha continued the Swedish royal line. These marriages demonstrated the long-term diplomatic value of Crown Princess Margareta's successful adaptation to Swedish royal life. Crown Princess Margareta's position as mother of 5 children who would marry into various European royal families established her as a central figure in 20th century Scandinavian dynasty building. Her daughter Ingrid's marriage to the future King Frederick IX of Denmark created a direct Swedish connection to the Danish throne, while her sons' marriages to German and British princesses maintained Sweden's broader European royal relationships. The Crown Princess's influence extended beyond immediate family connections to encompass the modernization of Swedish royal protocols. Her British background provided models for adapting royal traditions to changing social expectations, particularly regarding public engagement and charitable patronage. These innovations influenced the development of the modern Swedish monarchy while maintaining essential constitutional functions. Crown Princess Margareta's success in balancing foreign origins with Swedish loyalty created a template for subsequent royal marriages involving foreign princesses. Her example demonstrated that strategic marriages could strengthen rather than complicate monarchical institutions, provided both parties committed fully to their adopted roles. This legacy proved particularly significant as European monarchies navigated the political upheavals of the early 20th century. Crown Princess Margareta's final pregnancy in 1920 occurred during a period of significant international tension following World War I. At age 38, the Crown Princess faced increased medical risks, though contemporary royal protocol discouraged public discussion of such matters. The pregnancy proceeded without apparent complications through the early months, allowing normal continuation of her official duties and family responsibilities. On May 1, 1920, Crown Princess Margareta suffered complications that led to her sudden death during childbirth at the Royal Palace in Stockholm. The child, a son, who would have been named Prince Leonard, died shortly after birth. The unexpected loss shocked the Swedish royal family and European royalty generally, as Crown Princess Margareta had shown no previous signs of serious health problems. The death of Crown Princess Margareta at age 38 deprived Sweden of its future queen and left 5 young children without their mother. Crown Prince Gustav, devastated by the loss, would not remarry for 3 years, during which period his mother, Queen Sophia, assumed expanded responsibilities for the care of the royal grandchildren. The sudden tragedy demonstrated the continuing risks faced by royal women, despite advances in medical care during the early 20th century. Crown Princess Margareta's legacy extends far beyond her 16-year tenure as heir to the Swedish throne. Her children and grandchildren have occupied thrones across Scandinavia and married into royal families throughout Europe, making her a common ancestor of multiple reigning monarchies. King Carl XVI, Gustav of Sweden, and Queen Margrethe II of Denmark both descend from Crown Princess Margareta, demonstrating the continuing influence of her marriage into the Bernadotte dynasty. The Crown Princess's adaptation to Swedish court life established precedents for subsequent royal marriages involving foreign princesses. Her successful integration of British royal traditions with Swedish customs created a model for balancing international connections with national loyalty. This approach influenced the development of modern constitutional monarchy in Scandinavia, where foreign marriages strengthened, rather than weakened, monarchical institutions. Princess Margaret of Connaught's transformation into Crown Princess Margareta of Sweden represents one of the most successful royal marriages of the early 20th century. Despite her early death, her influence on European royalty continues through her descendants, while her personal example of duty and adaptability remains relevant to contemporary discussions of monarchy's role in modern society. Prince Arthur Frederick Patrick Albert was born at Bagshot Park on January 13, 1883, just under a year after his sister Princess Margaret. As the only son of the Duke and Duchess of Connaught, Prince Arthur carried the expectations and privileges associated with male inheritance in late Victorian royal hierarchy. His birth secured the continuation of the Connaught Line and guaranteed him precedence over his sisters in matters of title and inheritance. The prince was baptized at Bagshot Park on February 16, 1883, with Queen Victoria serving as principal godparent alongside the German Emperor Wilhelm I, reflecting the international connections of the Connaught family. Prince Arthur received the style His Royal Highness from birth and was formally known as Prince Arthur of Connaught, distinguishing him from his father while acknowledging his position as heir to the Connaught dukedom. Prince Arthur's birth occurred during a period of expansion for the British Empire, and his upbringing would be shaped by expectations that he would follow his father into military and imperial service. Unlike his sisters, who faced relatively flexible expectations regarding their future roles, Prince Arthur's path was largely predetermined by his gender and position as the only male heir to one of Queen Victoria's most distinguished sons. Prince Arthur's education followed the established pattern for younger sons of the royal family, combining academic instruction with preparation for military service. He attended Eton College from 1896 to 1901, where he studied alongside the sons of British aristocracy and demonstrated particular aptitude for modern languages and military history. His education emphasized the classical curriculum favored by Victorian educators while incorporating contemporary subjects relevant to imperial administration. Following Eton, Prince Arthur entered the Royal Military College Sandhurst in 1901, beginning the professional military training that would define his career. At Sandhurst, he studied military engineering, tactics, and imperial administration, preparing for officer service in the British Army. His instructors noted his diligence and natural leadership abilities, qualities that would serve him well in his subsequent military and administrative roles. The prince's education extended beyond formal instruction to include extensive travel and exposure to imperial administration through his father's various postings. These experiences provided practical knowledge of empire management and colonial administration that complemented his academic and military training. By the time he completed Sandhurst in 1903, Prince Arthur possessed the skills and knowledge expected of a senior Royal Military officer. Prince Arthur's only child, Alistair Arthur Windsor, was born on August 9, 1914, just 5 days after Britain's entry into World War I. The birth occurred at Clarence House with appropriate announcements in the court circular despite the national focus on military mobilization. Young Alistair's birth secured the continuation of the Connaught male line and provided Prince Arthur with an heir to carry forward the family name and titles. The infant prince received the style His Highness and the courtesy title Earl of Macduff, acknowledging his position as heir to his maternal grandfather's Scottish dukedom. His baptism took place at the Chapel Royal, St. James's Palace, on September 12, 1914, with King George V serving as principal godparent. The ceremony proceeded despite wartime conditions, maintaining royal traditions even as the nation mobilized for extended military operations. Alistair's upbringing occurred during the tumultuous years of World War I and its aftermath, when traditional aristocratic life patterns faced unprecedented challenges. His education would emphasize preparation for inherited responsibilities while adapting to changing social and political conditions. As the only male heir in his generation of the Connaught family, Alistair carried significant expectations for continuing family traditions and public service. During World War I, Prince Arthur served on the staff of the British Expeditionary Force in France, holding the rank of major and later lieutenant colonel. His staff assignments included intelligence coordination and liaison duties with Allied forces, roles that utilized his language skills and diplomatic training. While his royal status prevented assignment to frontline combat commands, his staff work contributed significantly to operational coordination between British and Allied forces. The prince's wartime service exposed him to the realities of modern warfare and the massive organizational challenges of coordinating international military campaigns. He participated in planning for major offensives and witnessed the devastating casualties that characterized Western Front operations. These experiences shaped his understanding of military leadership and the human costs of imperial policy. Prince Arthur's wartime performance earned him promotion to colonel and recognition from senior commanders for his professional competence and dedication to duty. His service record demonstrated that royal officers could contribute meaningfully to military operations when properly trained and appropriately employed. The war years established his reputation as a capable administrator and prepared him for the senior positions he would hold in peacetime. Prince Arthur's engagement to Princess Alexandra of Fife was announced on September 16, 1913, uniting two prominent branches of the British royal family. Princess Alexandra, daughter of the Duke of Fife, and Princess Louise of Wales brought both royal lineage and substantial wealth to the marriage. The engagement represented a strategic alliance between the Connaught and Fife families while maintaining the bloodlines within the senior ranks of British royalty. The wedding took place at the Chapel Royal, St. James's Palace, on October 15, 1913, with King George V giving away his cousin in a ceremony attended by the senior members of the royal family. Princess Alexandra wore a gown of ivory satin with a court train, complemented by the Fife diamond tiara, a wedding gift from her parents. The service followed traditional Anglican liturgy, reflecting the established religious practices of the British royal family. Through his marriage, Prince Arthur gained the courtesy title Earl of Macduff, acknowledging Princess Alexandra's Scottish heritage and her father's position as Duke of Fife. The couple established their primary residence at Clarence House, the traditional London home for senior royal family members. Their marriage represented successful consolidation of royal wealth and influence within the extended family structure that characterized Edwardian monarchy. Prince Arthur's only child, Alistair Arthur Windsor, was born on August 9, 1914, just 5 days after Britain's entry into World War I. The birth occurred at Clarence House with appropriate announcements in the court circular despite the national focus on military mobilization. Young Alistair's birth secured the continuation of the Connaught male line and provided Prince Arthur with an heir to carry forward the family name and titles. The infant prince received the style His Highness and the courtesy title Earl of Macduff, acknowledging his position as heir to his maternal grandfather's Scottish dukedom. His baptism took place at the Chapel Royal, St. James's Palace, on September 12, 1914, with King George V serving as principal godparent. The ceremony proceeded despite wartime conditions, maintaining royal traditions even as the nation mobilized for extended military operations. Alistair's upbringing occurred during the tumultuous years of World War I and its aftermath, when traditional aristocratic life patterns faced unprecedented challenges. His education would emphasize preparation for inherited responsibilities while adapting to changing social and political conditions. As the only male heir in his generation of the Connaught family, Alistair carried significant expectations for continuing family traditions and public service. Prince Arthur's appointment as Governor-General of the Union of South Africa was announced in April 1920, marking the pinnacle of his career in imperial administration. The position required managing the complex racial and political tensions that characterized South African society in the aftermath of the Anglo-Boer War and the creation of the Union in 1910. His military background and diplomatic experience prepared him for the challenging task of representing British interests while working with the South African government. The Governor-General's role in South Africa involved balancing the competing interests of English and Afrikaner populations while maintaining British imperial authority over an increasingly self-governing dominion. Prince Arthur's tenure, which lasted from November 1920 to December 1923, occurred during a period of significant political development as South African leaders sought greater autonomy within the British Empire. His diplomatic skills proved essential in maintaining cooperation between London and Cape Town. During his South African service, Prince Arthur oversaw the development of policies that would shape the Dominion's evolution toward independence. His experiences in South Africa exposed him to the practical challenges of governing a diverse population with conflicting political aspirations. The position enhanced his reputation as a capable administrator while providing valuable experience in constitutional development within the British Commonwealth. Following his return from South Africa in 1923, Prince Arthur gradually withdrew from major public responsibilities, focusing on regimental duties and charitable patronages. His later years were marked by declining health and reduced involvement in the extensive public engagements that had characterized his earlier career. He maintained his military ranks and honorary positions, but delegated increasing numbers of his ceremonial duties to other family members. The prince's withdrawal from public life coincided with significant changes in the British royal family's structure and responsibilities. The reign of his nephew, King George V, required adjustments in the roles played by extended family members, with younger royals assuming increased prominence in public ceremonies and charitable work. Prince Arthur's reduced visibility reflected both his personal health concerns and the evolving nature of royal family public engagement. Despite his declining public profile, Prince Arthur maintained his interest in military affairs and imperial development through his various honorary positions and regimental associations. His expertise in South African affairs remained valuable to government officials and business interests involved in Commonwealth development. These continuing connections demonstrated his enduring influence within imperial circles, even as his formal responsibilities diminished. Prince Arthur died at Clarence House on September 12, 1938, at age 55, following a brief illness that had prevented his participation in public ceremonies during his final months. His death occurred during a period of increasing international tension as European nations prepared for what would become World War II. The timing of his death meant that he avoided witnessing the devastating global conflict that would dramatically alter the world he had known and served. The prince's funeral took place at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, on September 16, 1938, with full military honors reflecting his distinguished service career. King George VI and other senior family members attended the ceremony, which emphasized Prince Arthur's contributions to military service and imperial administration. The funeral arrangements followed established royal protocol while acknowledging his specific achievements in South African governance and military leadership. Prince Arthur's death at relatively early age meant that his son Alistair inherited the Earl of Macduff title at age 24, during a period when traditional aristocratic roles faced unprecedented challenges. The succession occurred as Britain mobilized for World War II, creating immediate responsibilities for the young Earl in both military service and family leadership. This transition would prove tragically brief, as Alistair's own death followed within 5 years. Alistair's inheritance of his father's responsibilities in 1938 coincided with the outbreak of World War II, during which he served as a major in the Canadian Army. His military service took him to the Italian campaign, where he participated in the difficult fighting that characterized the Allied advance through southern Italy. Unlike his father, who had served primarily in staff positions, Alistair saw active combat as a regimental officer in field operations. Major Alistair Windsor was killed in action near Anzio, Italy, on April 26, 1943, at age 28, during the prolonged battle for the Anzio beachhead. His death occurred while leading his men in an attack on German positions, demonstrating the personal courage that characterized his military service. The loss devastated his mother, Princess Alexandra, who had already endured her husband's premature death 5 years earlier. Alistair's death without male heirs ended the Connaught male line that had begun with Queen Victoria's third son. The Duke of Connaught title, which had been created for Prince Arthur in 1874, became extinct with his grandson's death in 1943. This extinction represented the end of one of the most distinguished military lineages in the British royal family, as both Prince Arthur and his son had served with distinction in multiple conflicts spanning nearly half a century. Princess Victoria Patricia Helena. Elizabeth was born at Bagshot Park on March 17, 1886, completing the Connaught family as the youngest of 3 children. Known from birth as Patricia, she entered a household that had already established its patterns of military discipline and Germanic efficiency under her parents' direction. Her birth occurred during a period of relative stability for the Connaught family, as her father's military career had advanced steadily and her mother had successfully adapted to British court life. The princess was baptized at Bagshot Park on May 1, 1886, receiving the style Her Royal Highness and the title Princess Patricia of Connaught. Queen Victoria served as principal godparent, continuing the tradition of direct sovereign involvement in the baptisms of her grandchildren. The ceremony included representatives from both British and German royal families, reflecting the international connections that would shape Princess Patricia's upbringing and future opportunities. As the youngest child, Princess Patricia enjoyed certain advantages that her older siblings had not experienced. Her parents' increased confidence in their parenting roles, combined with the established household routines at Bagshot Park, created a more relaxed environment for her early development. This position as the family's youngest member would influence her personality and approach to royal duties throughout her long life. Princess Patricia's childhood and adolescence occurred during the transition from the Victorian to the Edwardian era, exposing her to changing expectations for royal women's roles in public life. Unlike her sister Margaret, whose marriage negotiations began early, Patricia benefited from evolving attitudes toward royal daughters that allowed greater personal freedom and delayed marriage pressure. Her education emphasized artistic accomplishments alongside traditional royal subjects, reflecting her personal interests and changing social expectations. The princess demonstrated early artistic talent, particularly in painting and drawing, subjects that received encouragement from her parents and governesses. This artistic inclination distinguished her from many contemporary royal women and provided foundation for interests she would pursue throughout her life. Her artistic education included instruction from professional teachers who recognized her genuine talent rather than merely providing aristocratic accomplishments. Princess Patricia's public appearances during her teenage years established her reputation as one of the most attractive and accomplished of King Edward VII's nieces. Her height, elegant bearing, and artistic sensibility made her a popular figure in society publications and court reporting. These qualities, combined with her position as daughter of the respected Duke of Connaught, made her a prominent figure in Edwardian royal circles and an attractive candidate for marriage into European royal families. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 fundamentally altered Princess Patricia's life prospects and the expectations placed upon royal women of her generation. At age 28, she remained unmarried at a time when most royal daughters had long since secured appropriate dynastic marriages. The war created new opportunities for meaningful public service while simultaneously disrupting the traditional social patterns that governed royal marriages and careers. Princess Patricia embraced wartime service with characteristic energy, participating in hospital work and charitable organizations supporting military families. Her artistic skills proved valuable in design work for fundraising events and commemorative projects. The war years demonstrated her capacity for serious work and established her reputation as a dedicated member of the royal family committed to national service rather than merely ceremonial functions. The social changes accompanying World War I created new possibilities for royal women's lives that had not existed during Princess Patricia's youth. The decimation of European aristocracy and the political upheavals affecting multiple royal families opened alternative paths for princes who might previously have felt compelled to accept dynastic marriages. These changing circumstances would ultimately allow Princess Patricia to choose a marriage based on personal affection rather than political calculation. Princess Patricia's engagement to Commander Alexander Ramsay of the Royal Navy was announced on January 6, 1919. Surprising royal observers who had expected her to marry within European royalty. Commander Ramsay, younger son of the Earl of Dalhousie, possessed distinguished naval service record and family connections to Scottish aristocracy, but his lack of royal birth represented a departure from traditional marriage patterns for British princesses. The engagement reflected changing post-war attitudes toward royal marriages and Princess Patricia's personal determination to marry for affection rather than dynastic advantage. At age 32, she possessed the maturity and independence to make choices that might have been impossible for younger princesses subject to greater family pressure. Commander Ramsay's wartime naval service had earned him respect and recognition that supported the match, despite his non-royal status. Princess Patricia married Commander Alexander Ramsay at Westminster Abbey on February 27, 1919, in a ceremony that balanced royal tradition with acknowledgement of the changed world created by World War I. The bride wore a gown of silver tissue with a court train, complemented by the Connaught diamond tiara, borrowed from her mother. The service, attended by King George V and other senior royals, represented acceptance of Princess Patricia's choice while maintaining appropriate royal dignity. Upon her marriage, Princess Patricia voluntarily relinquished her royal style and title, becoming Lady Patricia Ramsay, a change that reflected her commitment to her new life outside the formal royal hierarchy. This decision, made with King George V's approval, represented an unprecedented step for a British princess and demonstrated her determination to adapt fully to her husband's social position. The change eliminated potential complications regarding precedence and protocol while allowing her greater freedom in her married life. The transformation from Princess Patricia to Lady Patricia required significant personal adjustments, as she adapted to life as the wife of a naval officer rather than a senior royal figure. Her new status required learning different social expectations and participating in naval social circles that operated according to military rather than royal protocols. These changes challenged her adaptability while providing opportunities for more natural and less constrained social relationships. Lady Patricia's voluntary reduction in status attracted considerable public attention and general approval from a population weary of wartime sacrifices and increasingly critical of aristocratic privilege. Her decision to embrace a simpler life resonated with post-war sentiment favoring more democratic social arrangements. This public support helped establish her reputation as a relatable and admirable figure who had chosen personal happiness over royal privilege. Lady Patricia's marriage to Alexander Ramsay produced one child, Alexander Arthur Alfonso David Maule Ramsay, born on December 21, 1919. The birth occurred at Clarence House, maintaining royal medical traditions despite Lady Patricia's changed status. Young Alexander received the courtesy title Honorable, reflecting his father's position as son of an earl rather than any royal designation. The couple established their family home at Ribsden Holt near Bagshot, maintaining proximity to Lady Patricia's parents while creating independent domestic arrangements suitable for a naval family. Their household operated on a much smaller scale than typical royal establishments, with Lady Patricia taking personal responsibility for many domestic arrangements that would have been delegated to staff in her previous life. This hands-on approach to family management reflected her commitment to her changed circumstances. Lady Patricia's approach to motherhood emphasized normal child-rearing practices rather than the formal education and protocol training characteristic of royal upbringing. She sought to provide her son with as natural a childhood as possible while acknowledging his connections to the royal family through her lineage. This balance between royal heritage and ordinary family life would characterize her approach to her new social position throughout her married years. Throughout her married life, Lady Patricia continued developing the artistic talents that had distinguished her during her royal years, eventually achieving recognition as an accomplished painter in her own right. Her work, primarily watercolors and oils featuring landscape and portrait subjects, demonstrated genuine skill rather than merely aristocratic accomplishment. Several of her paintings were exhibited at Royal Academy exhibitions, earning critical recognition independent of her royal connections. Lady Patricia's artistic career provided personal fulfillment and public identity beyond her roles as wife and mother. Her paintings often featured scenes from her travels with her naval husband, documenting places and people encountered during his various postings. This travel-based subject matter reflected her continued international perspective while adapting to the more limited resources available to a naval officer's family. The development of her artistic career demonstrated Lady Patricia's determination to establish independent achievements rather than relying solely on her royal heritage for public recognition. Her success in gaining exhibition opportunities based on artistic merit rather than social position validated her decision to pursue serious artistic study. This achievement provided a model for other royal women seeking meaningful careers outside traditional ceremonial roles. Lady Patricia's position outside the formal royal hierarchy allowed her to observe the evolution of the British monarchy from a unique perspective, maintaining family connections while pursuing independent interests. Her regular but informal participation in family events provided continuity with her royal heritage without the constraints of official duties. This balance enabled her to support her royal relatives while building her own distinct identity. During the abdication crisis of 1936 and the subsequent changes in royal family structure, Lady Patricia's independent position proved valuable in providing stability and continuity. Her marriage to a respected naval officer and her established reputation for dignity and discretion made her a trusted figure who could offer perspective without political complications. These qualities enhanced her value to the royal family during periods of institutional stress. The longevity that would characterize Lady Patricia's later years began during this period, as she developed the routines and interests that would sustain her through nearly 9 decades of life. Her successful adaptation to non-royal married life provided foundation for a long and fulfilling existence that contrasted sharply with the shorter lives of both her siblings. This success validated her choice to prioritize personal happiness over dynastic obligation. As Lady Patricia entered her 70s and 80s, she became one of the last living links to the Victorian royal family and the pre-World War I European royal system. Her longevity allowed her to witness the complete transformation of monarchy from the imperial institution of her youth to the modern constitutional system that emerged after World War II. These experiences provided her with unique historical perspective on monarchical evolution. Lady Patricia's advanced age brought increased recognition of her historical significance as a witness to nearly a century of royal and social change. Her memories of Queen Victoria, Kaiser Wilhelm II, and the other major figures of her youth made her a valuable source for historians and biographers documenting the transition between the Victorian and modern eras. This role as historical witness enhanced her public profile during her final decades. The princess's continued good health and mental acuity into extreme old age allowed her to participate meaningfully in family events and public occasions well into her 80s. Her presence at royal weddings, jubilees, and other major celebrations provided living connection to the family's historical traditions while demonstrating the possibility of long and productive life outside the constraints of formal royal duty. This example influenced younger royal family members' understanding of alternative life paths. Lady Patricia Ramsay died peacefully at Ribston Holt on January 12, 1974, at age 87, having outlived both her siblings by more than 3 decades. Her death marked the end of the last direct connection to Prince Arthur, Duke of Connaught, and represented the final chapter in the story of Queen Victoria's Connaught grandchildren. The announcement of her death prompted extensive obituary coverage emphasizing her unique position in royal history and her successful adaptation to non-royal life. Her funeral took place at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, on January 16, 1974, with Queen Elizabeth II and other senior royal family members in attendance. The service acknowledged both her royal birth and her chosen life as Lady Patricia Ramsay, reflecting the dual nature of her identity and achievements. Her burial at Frogmore in the Royal Burial Ground recognized her royal heritage while honoring her decision to live independently. Lady Patricia's death at advanced age after a long and productive life contrasted dramatically with her siblings' much shorter existences, highlighting the different paths available to royal family members and the potential benefits of choosing personal fulfillment over dynastic obligation. Her longevity allowed her to see her nephew King George VI's reign, her great-niece Elizabeth's accession, and the beginning of the modern constitutional monarchy that characterizes contemporary British royal institutions. Lady Patricia Ramsay died peacefully at Ribston Holt on January 12, 1974, at age 87, having outlived both her siblings by more than 3 decades. Her death marked the end of the last direct connection to Prince Arthur, Duke of Connaught, and represented the final chapter in the story of Queen Victoria's Connaught grandchildren. The announcement of her death prompted extensive obituary coverage emphasizing her unique position in royal history and her successful adaptation to non-royal life. Her funeral took place at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, on January 16, 1974, with Queen Elizabeth II and other senior royal family members in attendance. The service acknowledged both her royal birth and her chosen life as Lady Patricia Ramsay, reflecting the dual nature of her identity and achievements. Her burial at Frogmore in the Royal Burial Ground recognized her royal heritage while honoring her decision to live independently. Lady Patricia's death at advanced age after a long and productive life contrasted dramatically with her siblings' much shorter existences, highlighting the different paths available to royal family members and the potential benefits of choosing personal fulfillment over dynastic obligation. Her longevity allowed her to see her nephew King George VI's reign, her great-niece Elizabeth's accession, and the beginning of the modern constitutional monarchy that characterizes contemporary British royal institutions. The 3 children of Prince Arthur, Duke of Connaught, exemplify the range of possibilities available to British royal family members born outside the direct line of succession during the late Victorian era. Princess Margaret's marriage into Swedish royalty and her role as mother of future monarchs demonstrated the continuing importance of dynastic marriages in European royal politics, while her early death illustrated the risks faced by royal women during the early 20th century. Prince Arthur's military and administrative career followed traditional patterns expected for royal sons, with his service in South Africa representing the pinnacle of imperial appointment for royal administrators. However, his early death and his son's subsequent death in World War II demonstrated the fragility of male inheritance lines and the impact of global conflicts on aristocratic families. The extinction of the Connaught title with Alistair's death marked the end of one of Queen Victoria's most distinguished royal lines. Princess Patricia's choice to marry outside royalty and relinquish her royal status represented an unprecedented adaptation to changing social conditions and personal priorities. Her long life, artistic achievements, and successful marriage validated the possibility of fulfilling non-royal existence for royal women willing to embrace reduced status in exchange for personal freedom. Her example influenced subsequent royal family members facing similar choices between duty and personal happiness. The divergent paths taken by the Connaught children reflect the broader transformation of European monarchy during the 20th century, as traditional dynastic arrangements gave way to more flexible approaches to royal family organization and individual choice. Their collective story illustrates both the opportunities and constraints facing royal family members during a period of unprecedented social and political change, while demonstrating the enduring human desire for personal fulfillment within the structures of inherited obligation and public service.